Welcome to the American Grown Podcast, hosted by Austin Sullivan. The American Grown Podcast will focus on people from different walks of life and their journey to where they are now. Now, turn up your volume and settle in for a great episode.
Hi, I'm Austin Sullivan, and I'm your host for the American Grown Podcast, recorded inside the Colortech Creative Solutions studios. Today, we have John Heisey from Heisey's Diner. He is a family man dedicated to his children and his family's restaurant, which is a cornerstone of Lebanon County. John, welcome to episode 5 of the American Grown Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm totally blessed to be here. This is a great opportunity, and again, thank you. And this is so cool that you're doing this, man.
We went to high school to Cedar Crest together.
Heck yeah, Cedar Crest.
Played some sports together, which seems like, just yesterday, but I guess it was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it's amazing how time flies once you get older. You know what I mean? Like it just goes by.
It really does. I'll tell you, man. Gosh, it flies by. But those are some fun times for sure.
Definitely.
Playing football and the camaraderie we had. But now take me back, John, to like your childhood growing up. You know, what's your family like? How many siblings? Tell us a little bit about the Heisey family.
Oh man, it's a kind of a crazy thing coming from a big family. I'm the oldest of 7 kids. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 7 kids. So, my childhood is kind of crazy. There's 2 different parts. There's like the early part where I was kind of the young one growing up, and then there's the other part where I was the older one that all of my younger siblings were looking up to and stuff.
Definitely.
So, the earlier in my childhood, it was kind of crazy. I had a brother die. He passed away when he was 2 years old. So, yeah, that kind of left a little mark. And then my other brother, Dalton Heisey, I don't know if some people know his story around here in Lebanon. He was born with gastroschisis and didn't have any intestines, so he was in and out of hospitals. So like my parents were traveling back and forth to hospitals and stuff. So while running a business, and, it was just kind of troubling. And then like I used all that emotion and stuff, and really in the second part of my childhood grew into the person that I became. Like, you know what I mean? I grew up in Ebenezer, so it's a real nice little area. There was always something going on, like a backyard football game, always like a home run derby or something that was always going on in the neighborhood. Lions Lake was right there. We always fished. It was just I had a great childhood given the circumstances and everything.
And so growing up, you definitely stepped into maybe like a leadership role, like you said, because your family is running, for our listeners that don't know, Heisey's Diner. John's family, the owners of that, and I believe they started that, the founders. Yes,
my grandfather bought the restaurant in 1968 for $62,000. He worked across the street as a diesel mechanic, and he always said if that place ever went up for sale, I'm buying it, because he wanted to own a bar. He was kind of a drinker, so he wanted to own a bar, so he ended up adding on and making a bar and adding the dining room. My dad and his 3 sisters bought it in 1989 for $850,000. So so it's been in our family ever since. And
so definitely you were, like I said, being a mentor, being a leader to your siblings, because your parents are busy running a full-time business, owning a business.
Yeah. So my parents are running the business, and my younger brother really looks up to me and stuff, and all my siblings really look up to me. They always speak really highly of me. I try to be a different voice than my parents, like, because when you're older and you grow up, you kind of see the way how your parents are. You're like, man, I never had it that easy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And sometimes you try to give a different perspective from like mom and dad, and
exactly.
It's good to have that big brother. I wish I had a big brother,
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's someone to look up to. And
exactly.
So on my side of the family and with my mom and dad, I'm the oldest also. So, it's kind of like, you're the first one to try things. You're the first one to learn.
Yeah.
Sometimes the discipline came down a little harder on you being the oldest.
Exactly.
And it seemed like your siblings could get away with murder sometime.
Exactly.
But so now, what was your high school career like? What was that like? Sports? I know football, but were there other sports? I can't really remember.
Yeah, when I played baseball for a little bit. I never played for the school and everything, but I really enjoyed lifting weights. I really enjoyed playing football, and playing football gave me a place to escape. Like from everything I was dealing with, and from my past, my childhood and stuff. And I just used that emotion out on the field, and it allowed me to become a great football player. You know what I mean? I was a pretty good football player, and I really enjoyed playing football. So, but that's what I basically did. And what a lot of people don't understand is like when when you're a student athlete, like all you really think about is your sport,
Yeah.
And then once it's gone, it's like it's gone. Like
Yeah.
and that's why I always try to preach to all the kids I coach and everything. It's just, hey, when this opportunity is done, it's done. There's nothing else.
Yeah, enjoy it now,
Yeah.
right? Because you can't go back.
Exactly.
Looking
100%.
back, it's like, oh, I'd do anything to play again.
Yeah.
Under Friday Night Lights or something.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So now, in high school, any mentors that you had, coaching or teachers, anything like that?
Yeah, mentors, as far as like a coach or somebody that like really helped me. Looking back, I didn't appreciate the person like in the moment, but looking back, Coach Burton was
Okay.
The offensive line coach for Cedar Crest. He was a great guy, man, and he really helped me through a lot of things. He always wanted me to go to college. He always tried to push me to college, and I was always boneheaded. I was like, no, I'm taking the family business over. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but looking back, I really appreciate the influence he had. As far as a business aspect, there's been a lot of people. Every single person I've cooked with, I've learned from, I've grown from, I've picked up little different things. But the one person that sticks out, her name is Sheena Quarrel. She worked for us for 10 years. She was a great employee, a fantastic employee, and she really set the standard. Enjoy what you put on the plate, but also how to work with other people, and how to treat people. She was a really good influence. Looking back, she was a great influence.
And that's so important in any business, whether it's family owned or not, is communication with your your teammates. Really is technically what they are, to get through the day, because maybe you're not having the best day or they're not having the best day, but you can help them get through it for sure. After high school, did you go to any, because I'm not a cook, right? I'll be honest. I'm not a cook. I can't really grill. My wife, if she was here right now, she'd be saying the exact same thing. How did you pick that up? How did you learn it? Was CTC involved or no? I don't.
No, man, I didn't. And that's some of my biggest regrets, is not getting out a little more in life. I kind of just learned everything on the fly. I've been cooking at the restaurant since I've been working since I was 12. Just doing dishes, like odds and ends and stuff. And then I started actually full-time cooking when I was 16. So when I was 16, from 12 to 16, I was doing dishes and stuff.
Yeah.
From like 16 on, I've been cooking ever since. So it's tough because you walk in there and you think you know everything, but then, like I said, you're always learning from somebody. You know what I mean? And there's always something you can learn from somebody. And I've learned countless things from all the cooks that I've cooked with through the years. And some of them are really successful now. Like they're doing different careers. Some of them are still cooking to this day. So like I said, I learned a lot from those people.
I believe when you think you know everything, that's when you get humbled,
Exactly.
Whether it's in life or in business, because I'll come in here into Colortech and, yesterday was a great day, might have had some big sales, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, back to square one, something happened, and you're always learning. I truly think that, and I really believe that. So now as you have all this going on, large family, working for the family business, and then you coach. So you coach youth sports, 10 years with baseball and 6 years of football.
Yeah, 10 years of baseball. I started coaching baseball when I was 19. It kind of got one of those things where my dad was like the 16-year coach. The 14-year team didn't have a coach, and they're like assistant coach, and he's like, hey, you want to coach? I was like, yeah, sure. Next thing you know, the next year I became the head coach of that team, and this year was just my 10th year doing it, and I don't know if with a family and everything, it's kind of getting a little too much because, like I said, I just started coaching football out at North Lebanon High School, and I really enjoy that because that's where my passion is. I really love football, and I really love the game and what it stands for and the lessons that it teaches kids. You know what I mean?
Yes. Football, you have to hustle. You have to earn everything.
Exactly.
On the football field.
Exactly.
It's never given to you, no matter what position you're playing. So that's why you're wearing the hat then. I was wondering.
Yep, North Lebanon football.
Perfect, yeah.
We got a great group of guys out there. Great group of guys. Great young team that's going to build, and they haven't been very successful the last couple of years, but last year we won 4 games, and that was more than they won the last 4 years combined. So
well, hey, yeah, so
awesome. they're doing. We got a good thing going. So.
Yeah. Now, what position do you coach?
It's actually kind of weird because I coach wide receivers and defensive backs, 2 positions I never played. So
yeah. Okay.
It's kind of weird, but I do good with it. I studied the game a lot. I studied film. I studied YouTube videos. I'm always trying to learn, and I'd start off as a volunteer position to be a junior high coach.
Okay.
And I showed up and I was working, busting my butt. Next thing you know, the guy said, hey, we want to pay you this year. I'm like, really? hey, you're going to be our varsity, help run the varsity program. I'm like,
holy
great.
cow, that's awesome. Yeah, especially when you can turn it like a hobby or something you're passionate about and make some kind of money from it, you know. I mean, that's obviously not why you started doing it.
Exactly.
You did it for the love of the game and to coach and teach, you know, the next generation. But the fact that, hey, they can pay you now. So do you see yourself, if you continue with football, as maybe an offensive coordinator, more defensive coordinator, or maybe a head coaching position sometime down the road?
Yeah, I do want to coach. I do want to be a head coach. I feel like I'm well versed in both offense and defense, but I want to be a head coach, and I want to oversee. I want to hire an offensive coordinator, hire a defensive coordinator, and just oversee both sides. Because you're gonna laugh at me when I excuse me, where I say what I want to coach, but I actually want to coach Lebanon High.
Lebanon High.
Lebanon High. I want to coach Lebanon High just because there's in the city there's so much talent there, and you see all the stuff going on like drugs, gun violence, and all this stuff, and you just want to like somebody's got to change. And if you can get those kids dedicated in the city, look out, because they have some talent there. They have some talent, like they really do.
Exactly. There's some athletes have definitely come through Lebanon High School, and I think Lebanon City is very passionate about whatever they put their mind to as a whole, and I'm sure having a mentor, and there are mentors now as coaching, but that could be a real good fit. I think it could be a real good fit.
Yeah, like an outsider, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm thinking, but we'll see how it goes.
That'd be awesome.
I'm taking it one day at a time, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly, yeah. So for all the listeners out there, our guests have to fill out a form to be on the American Grown podcast, and one of the questions, John, you had mentioned that you had a brief amateur MMA fight at a Philadelphia casino.
Yeah, Harrah's Casino in Philly. It was a great event. A crazy story. Like we were driving down, me and my buddy Kyle, and the car broke down, and it wasn't a good time. I was having a bad day. I got there, I weighed in. My trainer was running into some trouble. He was actually late for my fight, and so I had my buddy corner me. It was just a crazy mess. But the promoter's like, "Are you sure you want to fight? You sure you want to fight?" Because I was fighting a guy that was 3-1, and it was my first fight. And I was like, "Yeah, I want to fight. I don't care if my corner's here or not. I'm fighting this fight." So I got in the cage with this guy, and we fought. He ended up beating me late in the second round, but hey, it was a 3-round fight. He ended up beating me late in the second round, but it was well worth it, and it was a growing experience. Like, there's nothing else like that as just getting locked in a cage with another person and saying, go to town.
I can't even imagine, because I've never been in that scenario. You know, of course, I know of fighters, Conor McGregor and you know, all these guys. So I've seen it, but to actually be in there, do you remember landing any punches, or did you remember taking a hit and you're like, oh no, this isn't going the way I wanted it to?
He was more of a ground guy, so it was like when I came out and I tried to throw the 1-2-3 right away, and he knew right away when he saw me my stance and he saw my hands, he knew I was a striker, and this guy was a wrestler, so he knew right away he didn't really want to stand, you know. And I got off a couple good jabs on him. He got off a good leg kick. That's the only one that like really got me. It's like, ow. People don't realize how bad them leg kicks actually hurt, you know. Like they sting. They really sting.
Gotcha. Yeah, that just really blew my mind. So and I found it interesting too, because I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
So that was a one-time thing. That was like,
yeah, it was a one-time thing. I thought about training some more, but it's a lot of time. It's a time-consuming thing, and I have a history with concussions, and my mom and my girlfriend at the time were like, "It's not really a good idea."
Yeah, right. Plus, you have so much going on.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, you have to really like dedicate, I'd imagine, your life to it. You know, if you really want to go far with it, and you take some serious hits that you know the average person, you know, doesn't want to take or withstand. So now I got to ask, John, where do you think your passion comes from? What are you passionate about? I know in your spare time, which you don't have a lot of, being so busy with your family business, having a family of your own, I know you do some painting, some spray painting. Like, what are you really passionate about?
Yeah, I paint and art. Art's a great way for me to ease my mind when I'm going through a lot. You know what I mean? I just sit down and lately I've been drawing, but art is it just clears your mind. It gives you a clear focus. But I'm really passionate about just being the best version of myself, like lifting weights, trying to always speak when things need to be said. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a big hoorah guy. I try not to talk a lot. I don't put a lot out there, but when I talk, it's something that needs to be heard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I try to just speak from my heart and just let it all flow. And that's what I'm passionate about. Just try to change little bits of things, and try to make the best of every situation.
And is there a certain gym you want to shout out that you'd recommend here in Lebanon County?
Right now, I go to BC Fitness out in on North Route 72. It's past the diner a little ways, right before 81 and stuff, or 22. It's a nice little small family-owned gym. The guy's a really friendly dude. So it's just a good little spot.
Cool. Shout out to BC Fitness for all the listeners out there looking to get their pump on, get their beach bods going. Yeah. So let's go back and dive into the history a little bit more about Heisey's Diner. I know we started with how you came to, your family business took over, but tell me a little bit more about it, some of the people there, and what's like the average day? How do you wake up? How do you start your day and get to work?
Well, the average day starts usually around 5 in the morning. You get there, you cook off some bacon, get everything set up for the breakfast shift. We're busier now than ever. Like, we have 2 rooms open during breakfast, so we get a pretty good rush, banquets and stuff. So you're just cooking all day long, and there's people in the back that are prepping all day long. There's waitresses running around serving all day long. There's always something going on there, and we're always thinking for the next day. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The next 3 days, and always prepping, thinking ahead, and planning, and just going along those lines. But that's a typical day.
What would be your favorite part about working for your family business?
Oh, I personally, I love 2 things. I just love to cook. First of all, I love everything about cooking. Because when you put food on a plate, it's you know what I mean? It's something that you put there. You made it, you created it, it's on the plate. I love that. And I just love the people too. Like, whether it's the guy that comes in every day that I don't even know who he is, but he orders the same breakfast every day.
Yeah.
Or whether it's the guy after work I sit and have a beer with and talk. You know what I mean? I just
Right.
love the people that come in, the customers. We're very fortunate to have a great, regular base. So we're very fortunate for that. And I'm really appreciative of those people.
You make those connections with, like you said, your customers that come in, especially on the regular. You can learn from them, grow from them, and it's neat, I'm sure, to hear the stories that they have
Exactly.
to tell. So what are some of the advantages you would say of owning your own restaurant? And then if any, are there any disadvantages?
Advantages, I would say just you're your own boss. That's like an advantage, kind of, in a way, like you do your own thing, and you make the rules. The disadvantage is it's hard working with family, and it's very stressful work. It's not hard work in my opinion, because there are harder jobs, like there's construction and stuff like that, but it's very stressful work. It's very time oriented, and especially now with everything going on, it's very stressful.
Yeah.
So that's a disadvantage.
To throw it back a little bit, I've been asking some of the guests that actually own businesses, how did COVID affect your business, affect your life, back in 2020? And are there still issues, that you're facing to this day?
Yeah, back before 2020, me and my brother were actually going to put a plan together to purchase the diner from my dad.
Oh,
and
wow.
and then COVID hit, and it kind of fell through, and I was like, oh man. But once COVID hit, it really put a hurting on the restaurant industry. There's a reason why 100,000 restaurants went out of business in 2020. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of restaurants went out of business, and you're asking those people to run on a quarter of their sales and their profits, and it just ain't gonna happen. You live for during the week, pays your bills. The weekends, that's fills your pocket, fills your employee's pocket, and you just weren't able to make enough to keep it going.
When COVID first hit, and the governor announced lockdowns or essential businesses only being open, it definitely affected us in the printing industry here at Colortech, because we weren't deemed essential until that following week. So of course, employees don't know what to do, where they're going to go. And I remember seeing on Facebook a 3-minute video from one of the owners at the Bad Orf, now Rotunda, and Rotunda Brewing Company, and he really had a good point. It was a 3-minute. It was a long rant, but just how quickly people make decisions, whether good or bad, and they don't maybe always look through the outcomes or think about how it's going to affect not only themselves, but the families and the people that they're overseeing. So it was definitely tough, I know, here for us, and we were very fortunate that we could get back up and opening.
Exactly.
I imagine, like I said, you guys went through the same thing. A lot of employees, what do we do? Where do we go? Things like that.
Pre-COVID, we staffed between 55 and 65 employees.
Wow.
Now we have 42. So
Holy cow.
yeah. So if somebody calls off, or it's a struggle, you know what I mean? And it's hard to find help in the restaurant business right now, because, like I said, the wages are kind of not what you got these corporations and stuff hiring for $20-$30 an hour. You can't compete with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a lot of lot of positions. So it's kind of a struggle bus right now, but hey, we'll get through it. You just got to adapt, I guess.
Right, for sure. And to hit on, trying to hire people, I know it has been tough because we've been looking, of course, when COVID first hit, we had some people retire, take early retirement, actually 4 key positions here at Colortech. And it was like trying to scramble to find those key people, those certain people. And we were able to get lucky, through Indeed. And it took a lot because you'd have someone scheduled to come in for an interview. They'd show up and then you call them back for a second and they ghost you. They just like disappeared. So I totally understand it. I don't know where the people are, where's the workforce,
Yeah,
because it's everywhere. Restaurants, commercial businesses.
Yeah, it has me puzzled, man. I've been working so much, it's unbelievable, but it is what it is, man. You just got to adapt and grow and make the best of the situation. So
through these tough times that we've gone through recently and now that we're coming out of it, I'm sure things are getting better. Business, like you said, has been very busy and picking up, which is phenomenal. What motivates you every day to be the best version of yourself?
Definitely my kids, man.
How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
4 kids.
4
wow.
kids. I'm done having kids. No more kids.
Yeah?
But 4 is too many. I have 2 beautiful and great mothers of my children. They're great. They're Kim Bowman. I graduated with her.
Yeah, I remember.
Kara Osborne. They're great women. And I have 4 beautiful kids. 2 daughters and 2 sons. And they just keep me going, man. And if it wasn't for the mothers of my children, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do. I wouldn't be able to work out. I wouldn't be able to work at the diner 50 hours a week. I wouldn't be able to coach youth sports and give back to my community,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do these things if it wasn't for those 2 women. And they're just great. And I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for my kids. And that's what pushes me to be the best that I possibly can be.
Seriously, that is awesome. How can all of our listeners out there connect with you and follow along on your journey and also connect with Heisey's Diner?
I don't really do social media, but we do have a Facebook page for Heisey's Diner. But I personally don't do too much social media anymore. Just got too crazy on there. But for as far as the diner, we have a diner Facebook page, and we're located on North Route 72. If you've never been, stop out, grab a bite, beer, whatever.
I highly recommend it. The food is fantastic, especially breakfast. Bacon, eggs, steak and eggs. I always get. You can't go wrong there. Yeah, seriously. No. So before we close out, is there anything else you'd like the listeners to know about yourself?
No, not really. Just make the best out of every situation, and just use your struggles and your pain and everything to grow and become the best version of yourself, and motivate others, and listen to others, and learn from others, and just be the best you can be, and have a great life and enjoy it.
Perfect. No, I couldn't have said it any better. John Heisey on the American Grown Podcast and the Colortech Creative Solutions Studios. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, no problem, man. Anytime, and thank you so much.
If you want to see more American Grown content, follow along on Facebook and Instagram. Username American Grown Podcast. If you received any value, please share this episode with friends, family, and coworkers. And lastly, subscribe and leave a review.
If you'd like to be a featured guest on the podcast, please direct message or email Austin at americangrownpod@gmail.com.